Yesterday, it came out that Graham Plattner had a new accuser, and this accuser is a Democrat. So, of course, to the media, this person matters more. That's how they treat it. And the new accusation is that it was full-on rape. This is in Politico. So you know that if it's in Politico, the Democrats are actually behind it. This looks like a last-ditch effort to get Graham Plattner out because the Democrats are afraid he will lose the race. Yes, this is a friendly fire attack, and we can tell by how it's coming out and how they're finally treating it seriously when everything else didn't matter before. Previous allegations, Nazi tattoo, whatever. We don't care. He could win. Well, now it's getting serious because why? Well, Collins in Maine, they are desperate to win this midterms, and Collins in Maine was starting to pull ahead pretty decisively. So in Maine, the Democrats are staging a coup. They're about to pull off another Kamala Harris deal where they push Biden out and get to insert their own candidate because Democrats do not believe in democracy and they like to choose their candidates and not trust the voters with it. That is what is building right now. But here is some of the details. Of course, Jake Tapper, that bastion of truth, Jake Tapper, got to be the one to interview this woman.
Rape is a real thing. If you're so worried about it to buy Kevlar underwear, you'd think you might not get blacked out, fucked up around people you aren't comfortable with.
Right.
What did you think when you saw that?
I thought, here's a man who was drunk and who, by dictionary definition, raped me. And he's blaming drunk women. So I just felt like that was a very odd take to have on that. And I also feel like with all of the comments that he made about women, sexual assault, rape, even, the comments that he had made that was in the New York Times article about, threatening people with rape, like, why does this person have this issue, like, scattered throughout their life, throughout their commentary, like it's on their mind? Why do they have such a strong opinion about women coming forward with allegations? Like, I just feel like this isn't the first time.
I know that you have been very reluctant to tell this story.
Yeah.
What is up with Tapper's sound? CNN's budget is in trouble.
Why come forward?
A few reasons. One of the biggest ones is that I think that there are a lot of men in this world relying on the silence of women and to be where they are. And I don't want to contribute to that. I also want to just get my life back.
There are going to be people, maybe even his campaign, certainly his supporters, who say this is politically motivated. What would you say to that?
I couldn't disagree more. That was actually one of the reasons that I didn't come out.
So, I believe this woman. Why do I believe her? Because there's been several women who've done this, and Plattner's own comments are crazy. I mean, I've been following this story closely, the whole Plattner escapades, how disgusting this man is. We've covered it, significantly on this show over and over and over again. The man just says crazy stuff, has a very torrid background. So yeah, there's no reason not to believe her. The question is the timing. Why now? Well, again, there is 1 week. They have 1 week until he is solidified as their nominee. Of course, Maine has other weird election rules like so many other states that it's not, even though he won the primary, it's not official. They have a get out of jail free card until the 13th. So the question now is, does he stay in, and why now? Well, the Democrats are desperate. Get it all out there. Take this guy down. We are scared he's going to lose. And here's the proof. Look at all the Democrats that have now withdrawn their support, despite the fact they were all really behind him before.
Democrats who stood by him through other allegations are now rapidly abandoning him, many of them saying it's time for him to end his campaign. Alexis McAdams is joining us live with all of the fallout from this as that fallout grows by the minute. Alexis, this is just a drip, drip, drip when it comes to Graham Plattner.
Bill, that's right. We talked about it the other day. First, the Nazi tattoo, then the allegations of physical abuse. That wasn't enough for Congressman Ro Khanna, and it still doesn't look like it's enough for Senator Bernie Sanders. We're waiting to see if he pulls his endorsement. Calls
Bernie
for
doesn't want to lose this one.
Are growing for him to drop. Even the mayor of New York City just a short time ago, Bill, says this guy has to go after a woman who dated Plattner, her name is Jenny Rakakot, accused him of raping her back in 2021. She told CNN he forced himself on her despite her telling him to stop.
Did you guys see? Look at all those who are now turning on him. It's all of the Democrats are just freaking out. They all got the memo. And they all came out yesterday, every one of them, all at once, just tearing him down. Now, to his credit, Fetterman's been going after him the whole time. Now, again, Fetterman seems to be the only sane Democrat, which is funny since he had a stroke, which, I'm guessing just rewired his brain, gave him sanity. But he has continued going on about this, and now he's doubling down. You can tell Fetterman's angry this didn't happen sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. It's terrible. And that's why my heart goes out to that poor woman. And now also what he's put all those other women that when the New York Times described how abusive he was. Now, so many Democrats dismissed that or said it's not a big deal or we don't believe it or is politically motivated. Well, the woman that had the courage to come forward, she is identified as a progressive. And now she says that he raped me and came in my home without my consent as well, too. So
Senator, I'm sorry, what would you like to say tonight if you could say anything to Plattner himself?
I don't have anything to say to that trash bag, and he's a dead man walking politically. But now for me, my thoughts are with the poor women that have been brutalized by him. And I want to salute the courage for the woman to come forward and all the people that dismissed the women, that he abused in the New York Times thing, and all the people that sent Plattner checks or cashed checks from Plattner, maybe look in the mirror, the kind of person that you were pushing. And now that put the Senate, the majority path in serious risk. We all, any normal person could have seen what was coming, the kind of person it is. Now, he was the one Democrat that refused to not just call him out what he is.
All right, Senator, we appreciate.
Fetterman, I can't help but not like the guy, despite having serious disagreements with him on many things. Fetterman comes across as the type of Democrat I grew up with. Had some crazy ideas, but overall just a decent person. That was like my friends growing up in California. I liked all of them, and we had serious disagreements. I thought they were crazy in their politics sometimes, but they weren't bad people. They weren't, total crazy. They weren't communist. And Fetterman has that about him, and I really appreciate that. The longer he's around, which means that they're definitely going to get him out of here. There's no way they're going to let Fetterman come back. He's not walking the party line enough. Now, Scott Jennings had some fun words for everybody who had towed this line with Plattner.
The only thing I disagree with is when she said that he hadn't been vetted. No, he had been vetted. All of the things that have been stated, it was all out in the public. And people like Ro Khanna, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Tim Walz, the Bulwark, Pod Save America, all these people came together
all the
to
super
overlook it all,
progressives,
to explain it all, to rationalize it all. He was vetted. People knew all these things. And a whole bunch of Democrats in Maine showed up and voted for him anyway. And a bunch of donors from around the country sent him money anyway. I agree with Alyssa's question. What changed? Why are you bailing on Graham Plattner now? You already signed off on Nazi tattoo, a self-described communist, somebody who's had rape fantasies, somebody who has been on a social media platform known as a playground for predators, and on and on and on and on and on. And the difference between this accuser and the previous one is simply this. She's a liberal. It's okay, I guess, for Democrats that their candidates assault conservatives. But he broke into someone's house and apparently, according to her, raped her. And because her politics are correct, they can now believe it. All of this whole thing is disgusting. But to say that they hadn't vetted him or that they didn't know about all this is totally false. They knew it and they signed up for it. And I don't know why they're backing away from this scumbag today when they had already signed off on all that other crazy behavior.
Christine.
because all they care about is power. That's it. That's all the Democrats care about. It's the traditional communist playbook. Power is all that matters. Put your degenerates up there. Put your sickos up there. We don't care. Power is what matters. Your words are what matter. Your actions don't matter. This is what they do. This is who they are. Allow anybody to come forward as long as they will say whatever and can be controlled. Because the dirtier your past, the more you can be controlled in front of the people, right? They love it. They want this. This is exactly who they want until those poll numbers went down. And that becomes a problem with them. They're seeing the same thing with the commies taking over the party right now. Now, let's just remind ourselves how now as they're all coming out against him, well, we're not going to let them get away with it. We're not going to let them fool us into thinking they're actually moral people. No, they knew. As Scott Jennings says, the allegations had already come out. It just so happens it was from a Republican before. Republicans aren't human, so we don't count if we've been treated poorly. This is how they treated Plattner. Even when he was accused before, even when the Nazi tattoo was everywhere before. See, they call us the Nazis, but their guy with a Nazi tattoo, not just a Nazi tattoo, by the way, an SS tattoo for specific soldiers who were in charge of torturing Jews in concentration camps. That's the specific tattoo he had, and they were totally fine with it. In fact, this is Elizabeth Warren, how fine she was with it.
That's my kind of man.
We know.
That's my kind of man.
We know. I'm just going to play on repeat.
That's my kind of man.
We know it is, Elizabeth Warren, because you're a progressive, and that's exactly who your kind of man are. Oh, but here, Crystal Ball, from the Breaking Points show that is botted like crazy because they have her, the hardcore witch progressive, and I do say witch. This woman is awful. She's married to Kyle Kalinske. He's one of the most horrific human beings alive. And her Republican co-host is Sagar and Jetty, who is the most establishment, old school rhino Republican you could ever manufacture in a lab. Well, they run their little news show, and of course, she in her progressiveness was coming out as well. This is just the other day. Please cite where Plattner was accused of sexual abuse. Is your assumption GOP attack ads will invent false allegations? Calling them out. Oh yeah, we're not playing this game. This is all lies until, and then she changed it real quick. Oh, I agree that Plattner should drop out. The allegations are horrible. I see no reason why his accuser would lie. Some things have to be beyond the pale. No reason his accuser would lie, except for when it was a Republican. These people are sick, man. They're really, really sick. But the problem is now we have the internet freed up. We're no longer living on fully censored platforms. They censor a little bit now, not as much. Facebook still does a little bit, Instagram. But I'll tell you, the X, pretty uncensored. And so guess what? We have all the receipts these days. They don't like that we have the receipts. Here's her husband, what he had to say about Plattner just about a month ago. Plattner could have sexted my mom. I'd still vote for him. Yeah, believe him. Believe them when they tell you who they are. Now, Michael Knowles is enjoying this, re-upping this one for additional thoughts. They're enjoying, and well-deservedly so, this crash out of the Democrats, because it's ugly. Here, Harry Sassone, he got the word. As Gina Milan says, notice how they're all suddenly in perfect lockstep telling Plattner to drop out? These aren't organic thoughts. They got the email. Yeah, they did, because it's all on the same day. Harry Sassone, Graham Plattner's got to go. He must drop out ASAP. Yeah, that's not what you were saying a month ago when you were singing his praises. I mean, look at these. Jon Favreau calling out. This is the host of Pod Save America, a former consultant to Obama, worked in Obama's White House. Favreau writes, Plattner isn't just our best and only chance to beat Susan Collins. He's a good, decent man who's struggled and grown, is always trying to do better. I hope everyone with reservations takes a little time to get to know the real-life version of him, not what the algorithm throws in our faces. Clearly, that's what so many people may have done, from all different walks of life and political persuasions. This good, decent man, Graham Plattner, that's was Jon Favreau just a few weeks ago. Oh, but not anymore. As of last night, Plattner needs to drop out ASAP. These are awful, credible allegations. Said on the pod after the also credible June story, his biggest problem going forward would be credibility. Really? Is that what you said? Sorry, buddy. We got the receipts. But again, we don't expect these people to be legitimate. Dave Portnoy's having fun of calling him out. Here's Jon Favreau calling out Portnoy back on May 30th. Whereas Portnoy says, not caring about wheeling 6 chicks at once when he's married is your choice. Not caring that he pretends to be a populist when he went to the richest prep schools in America is your choice. And at the end, he says, not caring that he's a Nazi is your choice. But if you support him and promote him, don't ever lecture anybody about the moral high ground again, because you are a piece of shit. To which Favreau replied, I want to dream of lecturing you about moral high ground, Dave. That's on May 30th. Today, Portnoy responded, what now, Johnny boy? Credit to you and the rest of the clowns who endorsed this Nazi. You held on as long as you could. Democrats eating their own. Portnoy is not a Republican. He's not MAGA. He is a Democrat. But like Fetterman, he's a sane Democrat who sees the progressive commie takeover of his party and is like, these people are insane. But again, very few things make me as happy as these people eating their own. It's a beautiful thing. David Hogg, he got the memo. These allegations are horrific. Full stop. Plattner needs to drop out and let a strong replacement run. Oh yeah, but just not that long ago, they're out fishing together. What did he call himself? An oyster farmer? Doesn't even exist. But David Hogg out there hanging out with his buddy Graham Plattner. I love all these receipts. Ruben Gallego. This is him on the Bulwark podcast.
This guy is an authentic man. He's not anti-Semitic, and more importantly, not more importantly, but just as important is that he's going to win this election. And we need to win elections. We cannot go another 4, 5, 6 years, trying to get the Senate back. We need to consistently win, because whoever's going to be president in 2028, we need to hand them the House and the Senate.
So, we need to win. That's their line right there. We need to win. Ruben Gallego, by the way, best friends with Eric Swalwell. How'd that work out for you, buddy? He's currently under investigation for using his campaign funds to go on multiple vacations with his family, including Disneyland and the Super Bowl. Yep. Can't make that up. He's got his own shady dealings with women in the past. Just ask his previous staffers. And not only that, during his campaign for Senate in Arizona in 24, he broke up and divorced his wife, who at the time was 9 months pregnant. Yeah, that is Ruben Gallego, the bastion of morality on the Democratic side. This is the man who is came out in full support of Plattner, but of course is now calling for him to step down. Now, Bernie Sanders, he still hasn't called for him to step down. He still loves him some Plattner.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that Graham Plattner is the next senator from the state of Maine.
Make sure that they win all the elections, because, that's the only way you could go from being a millionaire to a multimillionaire without ever working, is that you join my party and become a Democratic socialist and be one of my candidates before the Democrats will steal it from you. We will take it over. Oh, Bernie. Everybody used to think Bernie was such a good guy. Now, the Civil War, though, is ramping up because you can't take out the commies. You can't take out one of theirs once they're already in, because there's the deep-seated, crazy crowd part of the Democrats that now owns the Democratic Party. And so, and they're not afraid to tell you who they are, whereas the Democrats who actually know how to get power are like, shut up! Stop telling us we're communists, even though we are. We don't want them to know that. We need to win elections. But these people don't care like Cenk Uygur. As Michael Knowles says, preach Cenk, don't bend the knee, Graham for Maine. It's crucial Plattner remain the Democrat nominee for Senate in Maine. Michael Knowles trolling them because he knows if Plattner stays, we win bigly. But here's Cenk calling out his party. Congrats to national media on politically assassinating Graham Plattner. If he drops out and the Democratic Party tries to give us two candidates, both for Israel, the Jews, and corporate PACs, they'll face a revolt like they've never seen. Days of BS false choices are over. I love the smell of Democratic Civil War in the morning. It is. It makes me so happy. This is the best. This is exactly what we want to see. They are eating their own. They are in the place. They've played with this game for so long, using the hardcore commies, progressives, Hamas lovers, the terrorist wing of their party, the real psychos. They've dragged them along for so long to give them power that those people are now fed up at the fact that the establishment wing keeps stealing their people from them. And it's not going to go over well anymore. In fact, I saw somebody post that, well, if Plattner pulls out, they're definitely going to win this race now. They're just going to run a generic Democrat against Collins and win. And to which I replied, I don't think so, actually, because these people are crazy and they're not going to help. They want Plattner. They don't care what Plattner did. They don't care who he hurt. All they care about is Plattner hates Israel and he's a full-blown commie and proud of it. That's all they care about. For them, again, it's all power. We have Scott Jennings calling it out that commies aren't taking the Plattner thing well, it seems, to which Hassan Piker, who's the nephew of Cenk Uygur and one of the biggest voices in the left influencer sphere, says, you're a Trump supporter? He's been accused of rape by multiple women, including his ex-wife. He was a prominent figure in the Epstein files, actively ordering its current cover-up. This is not a conversation for you, Scott. These people are very, very angry about everything that's going on with Plattner. And again, very good for us. Now, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene had to weigh in because what's a fraudster without joining in the fray? Marjorie did post this that she originally deleted. Says, if you're raped or sexually assaulted, report immediately. Don't wait for years later until the man runs for office to go to news outlets to tell your story. And if you had consensual sex with him years ago, don't turn into rape for politics with conflicting stories. Wow. It sounds like Marjorie Taylor Greene was supporting Plattner. Interesting. Of course, she deleted that and then put this up. I find it interesting Plattner is hated by AIPAC. Really? We're doing this again? We're doing the whole AIPAC thing? And rape accusations show up years later from a woman who dated him. AIPAC hated Massey too, and they rolled out fake AI ads showing lies about him in a sex trio with AOC and Ilhan Omar. Wow, how far Marjorie Taylor Greene has fallen. I certainly hope any woman is raped or sexually assaulted is safe and gets justice. That's why it's important to report immediately and not wait years. Although Epstein victims have been trying for years to get justice, not true. Not the one she's talking about. And unfortunately, AIPAC, their donors and friends love that elite group of men they're accusing. That's not really working out. I'm not taking sides, just making observations. Making an observation. So suddenly, we had to throw the Jews into this, that they're taking out Plattner. Kind of tells you who Marjorie Taylor Greene actually works for at this point, doesn't it? This woman has gone so far off the deep end. She has exposed herself as one of the biggest grifters I've honestly ever seen. It just keeps getting worse for her. This is crazy. To go from like, I am the true America first or I am MAGA, to now defending Graham Plattner because of the Jews. Man, this is disgusting. But hey, when people tell you who they are, believe them. And ironically enough, speaking of believing who they are, the Democrats got more bad news. As their former governor they ran just got busted. This is Andrew Gillum, the guy that almost beat Ron DeSantis the first time he ran. Arrested. Former Florida gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum, who narrowly lost to DeSantis in 2018, was arrested last week in Alabama on drug charges. Gillum taken into custody Thursday night in Daphne, Alabama, and booked in a Baldwin County jail for possession of drugs, drug paraphernalia, and marijuana. That is who the Democrats won in 2018 and almost beat DeSantis. DeSantis beat him by 0.5 percentage point. So again, this Plattner thing is not new for the Democrats. It's just that now, because of X being set free, Trump being as the president, it's so much harder to censor our voices. Even YouTube lets me say all this stuff now, doesn't block me anymore. You understand? I have had zero videos demonetized in the last year. Whereas before, I constantly had videos demonetized, copyright struck, all kinds of stuff to take down and slow down my channel. All the time. I had to make several edits at times to get my video still up there. That doesn't happen anymore. That's the Trump effect. You got the good guy in charge, and all of a sudden we can say stuff. We can expose things. Well, back in 2018, when Gillum was running against DeSantis, a lot of this was swept under the rug. But no longer. That's why Plattner's going down in flames. And they're scrambling because they don't control the narratives anymore. They don't control the media anymore. And now, because of that, Democrats are in a civil war. Because when they can't control the media, they can't get into power. And when they're not in power, guess who gets mad? Their super hardcore commie progressive wing that is like, what you guys are doing doesn't work anymore. So we're going to take over and we're going to be honest about who we are. And that's why we have a Democratic civil war and an absolute freak out collapse heading for the Democrats coming into November. All because this guy and their candidates can no longer be swept under the rug. They're passed. So it's a beautiful thing to see. And I can't wait to see how it plays out. The question now is, do the Democrats actually give the Maine voters another chance? Or are they going to pull a Kamala Harris and just insert who they want? Because that truly is the Democrat way of democracy. They've well established to us for several years now.